has been working with Globe since before the satellite actually launched, and in terms of what's happened in the past year, my comrades in arms now represent across the whole United States. So we have Peter in California, myself in Colorado, and Todd in New York, and that's a strong partnership for I can't hear me. I mean, Nan can't hear me. So we're going to talk very briefly about what CloudSat does and what we've done this year. This map represents CloudSat schools and speaks briefly to the CloudSat science piece. CloudSat is a circumpolar satellite, so it orbits the poles while the Earth rotates underneath. So every 16 days, that swath of the Earth is looked at by the satellite. And our interest scientifically is getting ground truth information back from CloudSat and Globe schools that are looking up when the satellite's looking down. And that process is done, I think we just mentioned in our discussion groups. CloudSat has taken the basic atmospheric protocols, precipitation, temperature, and cloud cover, added an additional precipitation measurement an hour before the actual observation so that there's the amount of rainfall that fell in the last hour, and added a quadrant protocol recording rather than a total sky recording for cloud cover, and 5 digital photographs, one in each cardinal direction and one with the mirror, which shows the whole sky. Those are submitted on the CloudSat educational site, and then, as somebody mentioned, roll to Globe. So, oh, Peter, there. We have no rivalries here. But go Broncos. Okay. So Peter's in Pasadena, I'm in Fort Collins, and Todd is in Oneonta. And another interesting part about that collaboration is that Todd's at a teacher's college. I work with the science team in Fort Collins, and Peter works at JPL. So we bring different perspectives to our partnership, which is a great strength also. Last year in Colorado, we held 8 workshops, and just finished a recent one, which I've learned a lot from, and I'm still digesting the process for. But we invited old and new teachers interested in getting trained at school in Globe, and almost all, with the exception of one teacher that came, have been previously Globe-trained teachers. And they wanted to come back because they wanted to reintegrate Globe. They wanted to see what's up. They wanted to learn more. And that was encouraging to see teachers want to come back and reengage. So that was that picture in the snow. And so now it's Peter's turn.
Okay, very briefly, I'm going to talk about the California partnership. First off, in May 14th and 15th, the CloudSat Education and Public Outreach folks, myself, Todd, Deanna, Sue, Matt, and Natalie will be taking part in the annual JPL Open House. This event is a 2-day event. It has about 30,000 to 50,000 people that come from the different regions. They come from Northern California, down from Tijuana and Baja California. So we get quite a few people at this time. This is a really great moment if you're a science geek like us. Because all the engineers and scientists come out and they bring all their toys and let you play with them. They bring out their rovers, their models, their animations and whatnot. So they let us get to look at their expertise, and they kind of share that with us. What's new this year is there's going to be a 20 by 30 foot activity tent in the Earth theme area. Currently, we're up for any ideas. If there's any, this might be a perfect time to do some type of Globe activity. If we have any hands-on activities, this would be an excellent time to share that with the general public. So if you have any ideas, I'll be more than happy to hear them. Also with the CloudSat area, you can see here Dr. Matt Rogers is demoing the Sonic Ranger. This is a neat thing, as it kind of demonstrates CloudSat's radar capabilities. So students walk underneath it. Tall kids are tall clouds. Little kids are small clouds, I guess, or low-level clouds. And I guess when they jump up and down, they're vertical developing clouds. Next up, I have the Wagner Ranch School. Both Todd and I do our yearly pilgrimage to AGU, which is in San Francisco. And since we're here, we usually go to the Wagner Ranch School and visit Annalisa and do a presentation there. Todd does a great job of getting the students interested in atmospheric scientists. He does atmospheric sciences protocols. Not protocols. He does like stuff with pressure. He does a hands-on activity using clouds in a bottle, and he also does differences between scattering and absorbing light in the atmosphere. I realize now I should have put a fourth button there, bullet, and it said after the conference we go up to the 39th floor, drink, and then chuck this mic into the San Francisco Bay, because it's it's kind of frustrating. The third slide there, I have the Globe partnership, which I'm JPL lead for. Which is going well. Recently, I like to thank the help desk because I've been getting a few emails and phone calls from teachers from the Southern California area that want to be Globe trained. One is also from Dryden, so that's a great deal because he would be another NASA coordinator who would be interested in being a Globe trainer. Now, obviously, I did not realize this was going to be streamed live because well, the great news, that's the great news, that 4 teachers want to be Globe trained. The bad news is NASA works slowly, and I did not realize that this was going to be streaming. So as you can see, I would never put NASA and the word bad in the same line. Never. I don't know who put that slide together. But once I get approval, I would go and get that kit, and sometime in the summer, Deanna and Todd and myself would go ahead and do a workshop with the host area being JPL. And with I think I will turn it over to Todd.
Does it work? Yes, it does. So we also have an international footprint. We have schools, as you saw on that map, all over that we do get an opportunity to visit on I can't call it a regular basis, but we have gone out to visit them because a lot of these schools are doing their own science inquiry, which I really think is the model that Globe's trying to develop. These are students from Thailand who often participate in partnership with mentors from a local university, developing their own projects on clouds using the protocols that are essentially Globe protocols. This is the cloud forest in Costa Rica. We went down, and it's a completely different environment than any of the other places we have, and they're an actively reporting school. Several schools in India who often take their Globe data and their CloudSat data and do artistic work with them. We have several who write poetry, and it's been sort of amazing to watch the things that they send to us. And there's a picture of Peter in Cameroon, which is a trip that he's made now once and will be making again this week or in the next couple of weeks. We've been supporting them to the point that we actually got them sort of going with the equipment they needed to report data. What an incredible story they are. They used to bike 10 miles each way every day to list their get to an internet connection to report in their data. As for our current activities, well, right now we're developing our training models around more than just Globe, but also bringing in NASA data, and CEN is our acronym for the CloudSat Education Network. We have developed this professional development model around clouds as a theme and trying to bring in all these different resources. We are actively trying to get ourselves set up so that whenever a student enters their CloudSat data, they get their little map. And I think that was discussed earlier. They should be able to go back and see what CloudSat observed a few days later. And the big thing is that we're trying to encourage more inquiry, and we're thinking about the sustainability of our project beyond when our satellite finally comes down several years from now. So a lot of our professional development, what we're trying to get our teachers to do, is encourage the student inquiry. And we've got some mixed results on it. Some schools have really taken well to it. Others need a little more work, as you can imagine. But getting to the asking and answering answerable scientific questions is a real key to getting students to own the data and think about what other observations they want. That was part of what we did during our Calgary professional development event and most of our future trainings. I should mention that these pictures came from my first workshop. I'm a relatively new partner myself. So we had a pretty nice site out at my school in New York where we did a lot of stuff and found that the water is really, really clean, which was actually quite boring. But there were good crayfish in there. So this leads us to the big future activity for us, which is this program called Teaching Inquiry Using NASA Earth System Science. Now, GLOBE isn't specifically mentioned in that title, but essentially we have been selected, but we're waiting for a budget resolution so that they can actually cut a check. And the idea is to formally study the effectiveness of tying in the existing NASA data resources to GLOBE. If students are taking observations, they should be able to go out and find the other resources that match up with what they're observing and explore questions further. Plus, we're trying to develop it both as an in-service module and because I work at a college that produces a lot of pre-service educators, trying to get them to develop activities as well. We're using a slightly newer model of professional development, which I'm happy to talk with you about offline. It gets a little complicated for this short time period. But the professional development model, as I said, will be a 5-week mini course for the pre-service students and then 3 to 4 day workshops sort of all over. And we're thinking our partnerships, maybe Texas, we've got some opportunities there. We're also hoping to really develop a more social online cohort so that our students are able to share ideas with each other. Our teachers are able to share activities that they're developing and actually trying to maybe do something like the virtual poster session amongst our smaller cohort and see if that's scalable. No poster sessions have been tried. I think we've got an opportunity here to explore it when the entire module is about inquiry. So we have real high hopes here, and I've heard a few things today that have helped me shape that a little more in my head. And finally, one of the nice things about having a grant that's focused on education is I, in particular, live in a place where every one of my schools is high need. So we have a competitive mini grant program where schools are going to be able to apply for some of the materials they're going to need to get started. That's a key component to success where I am, where I was able to train 10 teachers and none of them had the money to buy any equipment to get started. So now that we can get them some equipment, we can start getting some reporting. That's kind of where we are right now. I think we model a really good relationship between scientists and educators, and by focusing all of our professional development on really based in around the inquiry, and the protocols are the tool for that inquiry, we're having success, and I see that continuing. Let me ask my colleagues if they have any. Do you want to add anything else before I ask for questions?
Nope.
Then I'll ask for questions if there's time. Well, we'll get the.
Did you neck a curve before you started looking at
So you guys are rock stars. You really are.
We party like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, exactly. Whenever people mention models for involving GLOBE in a scientific research project, CloudSat comes up. instantly in that conversation. I know you guys have been around for a while and have evolved the model quite a bit. I'd love to see other research projects, Todd, as you and I were talking, other research projects involve Globe, like CloudSat does. I'm wondering if you have any suggestions for the partners here in the room or for anyone who works with the research project on what lessons you guys learned along the way as far as do's and don'ts to be able to reach this level of success that you guys have, other than just making sure you always party like a rock star. So.
The partying like a rock star makes a strong team, and it's a real team effort. Oh, do I need to say that again? I think part of the success, he turned it on. Part of the success of CloudSat is that there's a lot more than the three of us in the CloudSat team. We have strong science support, Dr. Matt Rogers. We have help from Sue Leaney. We have an incredible project team leader in Deb Vane and Dr. Graham Stevens. So having a team that has a vision and works at implementing that is a huge help.
There is a certain amount of cachet that comes with what they call the meatball, that icon up in the upper left corner. One of the biggest hooks we've ever had with our program is people get to say they're connected with a NASA mission. I think that it's probably the biggest lesson we've learned is making sure that before you give them additional protocols to do, like we've augmented the atmospheric protocols, make sure that you're bringing in schools that have some experience with Globe first. Don't necessarily expect everybody to pick up the basics and the advanced in one step. Some can do it and some can't. And I that would be my primary recommendation is start with a cohort who really has some experience and then scale from there. That would be lesson number one, and I think any other lessons will run over time. But I'm trying. I don't know who's got the clock on me, so okay.